Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Girl Gone Crypto. I have an awesome guest here today. We've got Don Tapscott, who is truly, I think, a legend in this space, and I'm really honored to have you here on my channel. So Don, thank you so much for coming and hanging out.
Well, I'm happy to be here, as it were.
So we started chatting on Twitter, I think originally because you commented on a ukulele video that I shared, and you said that you play the ukulele as well.
I do, in fact.
So I think that's
Um,
super fun. How long have you been playing the ukulele for?
well, actually, I'm mainly a keyboard player. I have a band. It's called Men in Suits. And we used to do a concert every year, whether our public demanded it or not. But then we got good. We raised money for good causes. We probably raised $4 or $5 million over the years. And it's a lot of fun. So I mainly play keyboard, organ, and piano and stuff, synth in that band. I also play guitar. But if you can play guitar, you can play ukulele. So, but my son Alex has just picked up the ukulele, and we bought him one for his birthday present. He's getting quite proficient at it.
That's what I love about the ukulele is I feel like the entry point is easy, but it sounds actually pretty cool. And it
Mm.
makes a great gift. Like you said, you can just kind of have fun and jam with someone. So I want to talk about the Blockchain Research Institute just to kind of kick off. And for anyone who maybe hasn't seen your TED Talk as well, I'll make sure to link to that below. You had a viral TED Talk talking about, back in 2016, talking about how blockchain is changing both money and business. And then you've co-founded the Blockchain Research Institute. So maybe just to kick off, tell us a little bit about what that is and what kind of research you guys are focusing on these days.
Well, after Alex and I wrote the book, Blockchain Revolution, we created the Blockchain Research Institute. It actually came about from a meeting up here at my country place. The background behind me is where I am. And we brought together a bunch of leaders from the various platforms and other players in blockchain. It was sort of a come to Jesus kind of situation where we said, we've got to solve this problem of all the warring factions and everything in the industry. And to a large extent, it has been solved. There's great progress. But we created something called the Muskoka Group. And I think if you go themuskokagroup.org, you can see the principles of the group of people, because this cottage is in Muskoka. And one of the action items was that we need to have better case research and better research done that would be helpful to large enterprises and governments. So Alex and I, after that, we thought, what the hell? Let's just do it. So we created the Blockchain Research Institute. Within 2 months, we had 15 large companies that each kicked in 150K or 200K in many cases. And so that gave us enough money to get going. We've now got 70 companies.
Wow.
And we're doing 110 projects, creating 300 research deliverables. It's the largest independent think tank in the world on blockchain. We have a small staff of 16 people, but faculty, 60 faculty all around the world. And the location there is blockchainresearchinstitute.org. Now I'm just, you mentioned my TED Talk, and I just pulled it up here. Wow, 4,564,000 people. That's just on TED.com. I have no idea how many people have actually watched this thing. Once things start going in China, the numbers get really crazy.
Right.
I was actually, the last time I was there, I went on CCTV2, which is the second national China network, largely for business. And someone sent me a clip from their website. I had 3 million likes.
Wow.
Not views, likes. I had no idea how many views that is, but anyway, amazing things going on there. So if anyone's listening to this and they want to know more, just go to blockchainresearchinstitute.org. And if you do, you'll actually find all our latest research on blockchain and pandemics, which we've made publicly available.
So, how much research is publicly available versus it sounds like the majority is probably for various clients. So, is the majority of the work that you're doing for particular research projects that a certain client needs, or do you share the research between various companies?
No, we the way it works is everybody puts money in the pot, and then we do these 110 projects, and they all get the results, the very same results. They can customize the work. They can ask for a special research report, and every member for their 200K also gets an executive briefing by me or Alex. Now, originally that was anywhere in the world, but now we're having to do that online. However, that was a good question, because what we do is each research project, the deliverables, report, infographic, video, PowerPoint, data set, each report is proprietary to the members only for a period of 6 to 12 months, and then we make it available publicly under Creative Commons license. So again, if you go to blockchainresearchinstitute.org, you'll find this, and this is all the stuff that we're doing on pandemics. And then if you go into the research projects, it will tell you, you can explore the research, and so that's just an example of something new. But you can also view the public research, and there's a feast. There's millions and millions. Every one of these is a $50,000 to $100,000 project that we've released to the public.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible, and honestly such a huge component of what is needed to help move the space forward, especially looking, at more enterprise blockchain and these big companies being willing to get into the space. And just in general, what kind of topics do you think have been the most requested or wanted in terms of things that needed additional research?
Well, right now the pandemic stuff is on fuego. We can't print it fast enough. No, we can, because it's bit, so it prints itself. But I don't know, some of the really big topics, they've been all over the place. Nick Szabo invented the smart contract, was our project leader on smart contracts, and his pieces, a lot of people have read that thing. There's a lot of, we're doing a bunch of pieces on regulation. We're doing a lot of pieces on the environment projects about tokenizing carbon credits, fisheries, the ocean, plastic, all kinds of stuff like that. And there's a big interest in them. The financial services work is also very much in demand. I'd say it's kind of all over. Oh, one other thing I'd never occurred to me. We do release some of the results to the public in a new special form, which is called a book. Oh no. Now look at this stupid green screen, from the thing around behind me. There. No, it's not going to work. There are two very cool books. One is called Supply Chain Revolution, and the other is called The Financial Services Revolution. I edited the one, and on supply chain, it just came out, and Alex has edited the book on the financial services revolution. But they're both gorgeous books. I'm very, very proud of them.
Yeah, I actually I was looking at the Financial Services Revolution book, and that's something I've put on my reading list, because I think that it looks like such an in-depth and thoughtful response to kind of the future of what financial services could look like. So I guess in general, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you would want that you think people will get from that book?
Well, the opening chapter, it's a third of the book, by Alex, talks about the 9 things that the financial industry does. It identifies value. That's $1. That's a stock. You are Leah. It moves value, and because it moves value, it gets to store value, and because it stores value, it gets to lend value. It gets to invest in value, venture capital, you know, private equity, mutual funds, hedge funds, angel investing, and so on. It gets to audit and account for value, all the auditing companies. It insures value with insurance and reassurance companies, and it analyzes value. There's a big, huge analytics industry. And all of those are being transformed. He sort of goes through and talks about all of the big things that are happening. And then he gets into this whole question of money, big time, because there are these three categories of cryptocurrencies. There are the community ones, which is where it all started with Satoshi, Bitcoin, and so on. And as Alex says in the book, the amazing thing about Bitcoin is that it works. But then there are the corporate currencies like Facebook's Libra. And if Facebook can get away with that, and it's a big if, they'll become the largest financial institution in the world in terms of customers. And then there's this new thing now. The central bank digital currencies are state-based fiat currencies, and there's a big initiative around that. We just did a webinar at the BRI. We're doing weekly webinars now. And we had Christian Carlo, who's the recently retired chair of the CFTC, the big commodities futures exchange in the U.S.
Yeah. And
he's created the Digital Dollar Project. And there's a lot of interest in the digital dollar, too. So that's the first book that analyzes all that stuff. And then the other book, the supply chain book, is the first to talk about supply chains and pandemics. It's called Supply Chain Revolution.
And so when it comes to, you're working with all of these obviously large organizations and governments, and, you just mentioned the digital dollar. Like, one thing that I'm kind of curious about, because I feel like there's a lot of debate within the crypto community about whether something like this is good, whether Libra, whether the digital dollar, are those types of more centralized cryptocurrencies a positive thing for the space or a negative thing for the space?
Well, it depends, basically. There's a role for each. And many people say, well, we're, Bitcoin, all the rest is crap. Or we're Libra and we're going to dominate everything. Or we're going to be the US dollar and that's going to win out. And I don't think any of those views is correct. For Facebook to implement Libra, that would be an extraordinary thing. It would bring a few 100 million people into the global banking system. Because there are a lot of people who don't have a bank account, but they have a Facebook account, and they may have a supercomputer in their pocket as well. So you can see, in theory at least, how that could be very positive. Same with the central bank digital currency. Now, it depends how it's implemented. You could want to build privacy into that, for example. Otherwise Orwell had no idea what was possible. It was so cute. He talked about cameras. Jesus. How about knowing your people's heart rate real time, or what they're, where they are and what they think and what they're doing and what they're buying and what they're learning, what medication they're taking and all the rest. So all this data constitutes our digital identity. And so, which is another big theme that we've been working on recently. So I think there's a role for each of them.
Now, one thing, you speak quite a bit, it seems, and give keynotes at various events and conferences, and obviously with this pandemic that has shifted quite a bit. I know we were both just part of a virtual blockchain week, the Bad Crypto guys put on. Yeah. How do you see the kind of conference and speaking industry changing coming out of this pandemic? Do you think that more conferences will just end up staying virtual, or do you think that people are really itching to kind of get back out there and get in person again?
Well, I think they're itching, but there's sort of a PTSD, isn't there? Like anybody planning a cruise or
right.
Dying to get into a movie theater. So we have a big event, as you know. It's called Blockchain Revolution Global, and it's about blockchain in the enterprise. And it was supposed to be in April. We postponed it till the end of October, but to hedge our bets, it's going to be a very hybrid event. It's going to look more like a TV show with some interactive studio audiences rather than a big sort of convention center type event. So I think that business travel will decline. Also, we've learned that we can use this stuff pretty effectively. I mean, if you had to fly up here to interview me or something like that, you have a nice quality video interview, and I can, do stuff like this.
Right.
So there's the picture of the book, Alex's book. And then this is the supply chain book, which has just come out. And these two are coming out shortly as well. But you can buy this on Amazon. And that's a beautiful book as well. Sorry, I digress.
No, I love it. And I think you make a really great point about we've learned a lot in this pandemic about how to efficiently communicate, remotely and through video, and that it actually, I mean, obviously we want to get back together in person, but from an economic standpoint, it's a lot cheaper to be able to do some of these options.
Yeah, there's all the human cost of all of this, Like, I never thought I'd want to be on another airplane. I mean, I've been averaging 150, 200 flights a year.
Wow.
Recently as last year. I was just so happy to not be on airplanes, but now I wouldn't mind it at all. And I think that honestly, Lee, there's a sort of, the Portuguese word is saudade. It's sort of like a longing, for personal interaction. I mean, I'm looking at you on the screen here and I'm thinking, yeah, this is a very efficient interview, but it might be nice to actually sit down, have a chat, face to face. So, I don't know. There'll be a lot of other changes too. Online education is here for good now. I'll tell you, we're going to run out of time here, but I'll tell you a funny story. I'm dating myself. When I did my graduate degree in 1977, I took an online course, in graduate course in statistics. There was no lecture. The statistics lecture, by definition, is a bust. Everyone in the class, either they don't get it or they're bored. Right. There's no one size fits all for statistics. But I worked interactively. It was a dumb term. And there was a little slide thing that showed me graphs and stuff. It was connected into the data center in the university. And it was self-paced, interactive. I went through stuff I didn't understand until I got it. And I got an A. I was never good at statistics. All of a sudden, I was really good. And I ended up getting a scholarship that paid for my entire graduate program.
Wow.
Because I was the top student in that course. And I thought, whoa, lectures are going to be totally gone in a decade. We're all going to be learning online. And still today, you have statistics prof explaining an analysis of variance, to a room of hundreds of students. It's ridiculous. So now we're all having to do this. So you may know we've got a big program called Blockchain and the Enterprise.
Yeah.
It's about it's the big business course on blockchain. It's done through Coursera, and it's also through a partnership with INSEAD as well. We spent $1 million on this thing.
Wow.
And it was a really a big effort to do it, honestly. And there's 250 videos, there are 250 exams, and it's a gorgeous thing. The take-up was kind of okay, but now the thing is exploding. It's quintupled.
Wow.
It's quintupled in views in the last, here it is here. And I gave a speech to the IEEE this morning. I'll let your viewers in on this, but you can get 25% off. Shh.
Oh, nice. Okay.
For the next week, if you go to Coursera.org, promo Blockchain Revolution. And
nice.
And that'll that'll get you into the course. So anyway, so people are just loving this thing. I just did a little virtual graduation ceremony right before this call. Some students in Europe who wanted to celebrate the fact that they'd all completed the course. So I said, "What the hell?" So I bestowed their degrees upon them. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that's great. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'll definitely make sure that people know that that's there and available. And I know that we are just about out of time, but I just have one last question. I know that you have about 1 million different things going on. It seems you're constantly building and writing books and creating courses and doing different things. What is the thing you're most excited about that you're working on right now?
Topic?
Or just what is the project that you're most excited about that you're working on right now?
Well, I think there are two big issues facing the planet. Mm-hmm. You'll know the first one and be surprised at the second. The first one is climate change, and we need to reduce carbon by 80% in the year 2050, or else we're toast. And even if we do, it's going to take 1,000 years for the planet to cool down, and you can expect bad things to happen the next decade. Over 1 billion people lose most of their water supply. So this is like, you think we have a problem now with migrations and terrorism and conflict and so on. So we need to mobilize the planet. So I'm involved in something called carbonex.ca that's tokenizing carbon credits. Anyway, that's a big issue for me. And then the other big issue, and you'll be surprised to hear me say this, is I think that our digital identities, we create them, but others capture them. And this is, we need to get our identities back so that we can manage them responsibly for ourselves. The virtual Leah knows more than you do about you, because you can't remember what you said a year ago, or where you were a year ago, or what you got in the test, or what medication you had, or what diagnosis you had, or what you ate, or your location, and so on. And you create this data, but it gets expropriated by these digital landlords, kind of like feudalism, and you create the value, they let you keep a little bit. Well, Leah, you get left with a cabbage or two, and you can't use your data to plan your life. And how cool would that be? You can't monetize it. It's not secured. It's going to be hacked. We can't get summary data. So in a pandemic, we can't get health data for an entire population, because everything is in little silos, as an example. And the big problem is our privacy is being undermined. People say, well, privacy's dead, get over it. I think that's ignorance. Privacy is the foundation of freedom, and we need to get our identities back for ourselves. So this is a huge theme of mine, and I'm working on it. We're doing a lot of work on this. So expect to see the book and the podcast and the TV series and the tractor trailer road show, satellite, whatever. Because when I get my teeth into an issue, I really get into it.
Well, Don, thank you so much for taking the time to come here on my show and just to share all of the amazing things that you are working on and share your insight into the space. And so thank you again. We really appreciate it. I'll put links to everything we talked about below so that people can check it out further.
Great. I'll make a big deal of it. And it was very nice to interview you. Next time, who knows? Face to face. Crazy things can happen.
Wouldn't that be great? We can even maybe jam on the ukulele or something.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of 3 tenors, the 2 ukuleles. Get Alex involved. The 3 ukuleles. I like it.
It's a band. It's a deal.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Don. I appreciate it.